In the starless night of June 21, 2025, a force of B-2 Spirit bombers, stealth giants shaped like dark boomerangs, sliced through the upper atmosphere. Their mission, Operation Midnight Hammer, was one of the most secret and dangerous in modern history. Each aircraft carried a devastating payload, aimed at Iran's most protected nuclear facilities. The crews, calm and focused, flew in total radio silence, invisible to radar, ghosts in the sky. Their journey from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri stretched over 18 hours, refueled mid-air by tankers in a precise silent ballet. The world below slept, unaware of the hammer about to fall. This was the culmination of years of intelligence, technology, and planning. The B-2, with its radar-absorbent skin, was built to penetrate the world's most defended airspaces. Operation Midnight Hammer would be its ultimate test. Could overwhelming technological superiority achieve a decisive objective without a drawn-out war? As the bombers neared Iranian airspace, tension gripped everyone involved. The silent approach was nearly over. The world was about to change. The fate of the Middle East and perhaps the world hung in the balance. Operation Midnight Hammer was born from a world simmering with tension and failed diplomacy. By spring 2025, Iran was on the verge of a nuclear breakthrough, alarming the US and Israel. Israel's own limited air campaign had failed to touch Iran's most fortified sites. Nuclear talks collapsed, and Iran's leadership grew defiant. President Trump and his security team concluded that inaction was riskier than a decisive strike. The decision acted with overwhelming force to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran. Global markets trembled and world leaders urged restraint, fearing a wider conflict. But behind the scenes, the gears of the American military machine were already turning. The world saw only rising tensions, unaware that a secret solution was already in motion. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake global security. Operation Midnight Hammer had two goals: precision and secrecy. The mission was not to wage war, but to surgically remove Iran's nuclear infrastructure in a single night. The B-2 Spirit bomber was the only aircraft capable of reaching and destroying Iran's most hardened sites like Fordow, buried deep inside a mountain. The planned strike Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan simultaneously, decapitating Iran's nuclear program. Total surprise was essential. Iran's layered air defenses could not be alerted. The operation relied on deception and stealth, making the enemy look the wrong way. 7 B-2S formed the core, supported by aerial refuelers, F-22S, F-35S, and a guided missile submarine. Fighter jets would sweep the path clear, using stealth and electronic warfare. The submarine would strike from the sea. The hammer was forged advanced technology, brilliant strategy, and the courage of those who would carry it out. Failure was not an option. The countdown to midnight had begun. The operation's success hinged on fooling Iran's military. Hours before the strike, decoy B-2S flew west toward Guam, drawing global attention away from the real threat. Meanwhile, the true strike package of 7 B-2S flew east, avoiding commercial air corridors and hostile radar. F-22S and F-35S created digital chaos, simulating aggressive flight patterns and generating false radar signals along Iran's southern border. Iranian air defense commanders focused on the wrong threat, pointing their radars south. The B-2S, approaching from another direction, remained invisible. Cyber Command added another layer, subtly disrupting Iran's command and control networks. Delays and glitches sowed confusion, preventing a coherent response. By the time Iran realized what was happening, it was too late. The deception was total radar, electronic warfare, and cyber attacks combined to blind and distract. The B-2S slipped through the cracks. The masterpiece of deception was complete. The targets lay ahead, unprotected. The hammer was about to fall. At 2:10 a.m. on June 22, 2025, 7 B-2 bombers arrived over Iran, perfectly positioned above their targets. The lead bomber targeted Fordow, buried deep under rock and concrete. It carried the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, 30,000 pounds of bunker-busting power, used in combat for the first time. 2 MOPs dropped, drilling through the mountain to collapse Fordow's underground halls. Other bombers released 12 more MOPs on Fordow and Natanz, destroying centrifuges and tunnels. Simultaneously, a U.S. submarine in the Arabian Sea launched over 24 Tomahawk cruise missiles at Isfahan's surface facilities. The Tomahawk struck research labs and support buildings, crippling Iran's technical foundation. The timing was flawless. Strikes hit all three sites within moments of each other. Iran's defenses were overwhelmed, unable to react. From the first bomb to the last missile, the offensive phase was a tightly controlled, devastating sequence. The heart of Iran's nuclear program was shattered. The enemy never saw it coming. The world would wake to a new reality. The entire strike phase lasted just 25 minutes. Iran's air defenses never saw the attack coming. No fighters scrambled, no missiles fired. The B-2S, shielded by stealth, electronic warfare, and cyber disruption, operated in a different dimension. Iranian operators, distracted by ghost signals, missed the real threat overhead. The silence from Iran was proof of the mission's success. The B-2S turned for home, leaving destruction that would only be discovered at sunrise. All 7 bombers returned safely to Missouri. No losses, no American casualties. Operation Midnight Hammer was a flawless execution of modern warfare. Victory was achieved through technology, information dominance, and absolute surprise. The world had just witnessed a new kind of war. As dawn broke, satellite imagery confirmed severe destruction at all 3 sites. President Trump declared the mission a success. Iran's nuclear program was set back by years. Fordow's underground halls collapsed, Natanz's centrifuges destroyed, Isfahan's research buildings reduced to rubble. Iran's initial response was confusion and denial, but the scale of damage was undeniable. Iranian leaders vowed retaliation, launching missiles at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. U.S. missile defenses intercepted them, no casualties. Iran's response was symbolic, not escalatory. A tense ceasefire took hold, but questions remained. Was Fordow completely destroyed? Did Iran retain enriched uranium? Operation Midnight Hammer won a major battle, but the long-term challenge of Iran's nuclear ambitions persisted. The world watched, uncertain what would come next. The balance of power had shifted, but the future was still in play. Operation Midnight Hammer redefined modern conflict. Victory now belongs to those who master technology, information, and stealth, not brute force. The B-2's ability to bypass an entire nation's defenses proved the enduring power of stealth. Fifth-generation fighters and cyber warfare created a shield of invisibility, rendering traditional defenses obsolete. Precision-guided munitions allowed for surgical strikes, crippling Iran's program without mass casualties. This new paradigm gives leaders more options than just peace or all-out war. For military planners worldwide, the operation became a case study in information superiority. The future of conflict will be defined by speed, precision, and the ability to act unseen. Nations must now invest in cyber defenses and advanced sensors, not just tanks and planes. The side that can see, decide, and strike first will dominate the battlefield. Operation Midnight Hammer's legacy is both triumph and warning. It was a tactical masterpiece, neutralizing a major threat without escalating to full-scale war. America's military power was reaffirmed, but new questions emerged. The strike may push adversaries to hide their programs deeper, making future threats harder to detect. It set a precedent for preemptive action, one that could be dangerous if misused. Critics warned of a lack of long-term strategy. The peace achieved was fragile. The operation reshaped military thinking. Technology, stealth, and precision now define power. A new arms race is underway, focused on cyber, stealth, and countermeasures. The balance of offense and defense has shifted. The hammer fell, a war was averted, but the underlying tensions remain. The world is still learning the rules of this new game.